स्विच ऑन कर लो, मेरा ख्याल स्पीकर चालू है।
History, culture, language, and extending borders, they have very less trade between them. Due to the disputes over Kashmir, currency valuation, and water distribution, the evolving nature of political relations between India and Pakistan led to the decline of bilateral trade volumes. The tariff and non-tariff barriers have created hurdles in the progress of their trade. The informal channels of trade have also sprung up due to the negative list of Pakistan and to satisfy the eagerness of people for each other's goods. Despite the various agreements, deliberate efforts from tip to toe still are the need of the hour to increase the trade between the two countries. The objectives and methodology of the paper. The main objective of the paper is to analyze the trade relations between India and Pakistan. The study takes into account the major trading partners of India and Pakistan, their import as well as exports from each other, imports of each nation from the other by the product group, and their tariff structures. Lastly, some suggestions and policy implications are also provided. The paper is based on the secondary data taken from the World Development Indicators, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, tariff profiles of the WTO. First is the major trading partners of India. The major export partners of India include United States, followed by the United Arab Emirates, China, Singapore, and Hong Kong. United States has 12.46% share in total exports of India, which include jewelry, woven apparels, and miscellaneous textile articles. Next is the major import partners of India, which are China, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Switzerland, and United States, among which China has 11.08% share. Thus, the major trading partners of India are United States, United Arab Emirates, and China. India's trade with China has grown rapidly than United States. Indo-United Arab Emirates trade is sustainable venture as each country's export is almost equal to its imports, and non-oil trade between the two occupy great significance. Next are the major trading partners of Pakistan. Pakistan's economy not only has been traditionally agricultural, but continuous internal political instability and regional politics increased its dependency on external sources. The table highlights that United States, China, Afghanistan, United Arab Emirates, and United Kingdom are the major export partners of Pakistan, and its major import partners include United Arab Emirates, China, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and Japan. Therefore, Pakistan's major trade partners are also United States, United Kingdom, United Arab Emirates, and China. The larger exports from Pakistan to United States include textiles. Presently, Pakistan is the only country in South Asia with a free trade agreement and currency swap with China, which includes elimination of import custom duties, tariff reduction, and it has increased the trade between the two nations. Next is the India's exports to Pakistan. The table reveals that the exports of India to Pakistan have increased from 1999 to 2000 to 2013 and 14, except in the years 2001 to 2008-9 and 2011-12. Along with this, the pace of the flow of exports has been very slow. The share of exports to Pakistan in total Indian exports has been mostly less than 1%, which is too less as compared to other export partners. The Indian imports from Pakistan the table reveals that the imports from Pakistan to India have declined many times. The terrorist attacks on Indian Parliament in 2001 reduced the economic ties between India and Pakistan. The Samjhauta Express bombings resulted in further decrease in bilateral relations of the two nations in 2006-7, but this deterioration of trade was less as compared to the Indian Parliament attacks in 2001. The bilateral relationship experienced significant tension when later Pakistani terrorists attacked Mumbai. Next is the all of their products due to low costs of production and distribution of competing products from across the border. Globalization seems to affect Indian textile trade through increased competition. Next is the all-group imports by Pakistan from India. The table reveals that intermediate goods constituting 63.22% share were major imports by Pakistan from India, followed by the imports of raw materials and textiles and clothing. Pakistan faces tremendous problems of import substitution in capital and intermediate goods, which can only be achieved at a very high price. Another example is the industry of hides and skins, in which India enjoys a high comparative advantage in the world, but has zero presence in Pakistan. In 2008, industries such as animals and animal products, vegetable products, and textile articles were increased in the positive list. Next, I am talking about the tariff structure in India and Pakistan. The table clearly reveals that the tariffs are higher in India than the Pakistan. India also raised extremely high tariff barriers on agricultural products. Moreover, India maintains the composite duty ad valorem and specific duty on textile manufacturers. The tariff barriers are very high between these two countries, and this is all about the political negativism. If the country, India or Pakistan, does not want to trade in some goods, the non-tariff barriers on those products will be increased. The non-tariff barriers are so strong that even if there is a signed contract between importers and exporters, the political conflicts highlights these non-tariff barriers. Finally, to sum up, it can be said that the bilateral trade between India and Pakistan is near to the ground. Besides their identical history and civilization, the trade between them is languishing because of banned trade from Pakistan's end and lack of tariff liberalization from India's end. In the approaching years, the real benefits from trade can be increased through the support of each other to bring long-lasting peace in the two regions. The need to explore new trade routes will surely improve the flow of exports and imports from both nations, along with posing a check on tariff and non-tariff barriers to trade. It is in the mutual interest of the two countries to strive for an enduring, uninterruptible, long-term relationship that is not prone to sudden disruptions, abrupt retaliations, and knee-jerk reactions. Some of the policy implications to boost up their trade are: first one is the most favored nation status is the hub of trade between India and Pakistan. All the trade restrictions must be relaxed. Second one is consistency and transparency should be enhanced so that the informal channels of trade can be brought to an end. Third one is if one country establishes any virtuous policy, then the other country must cooperate with the founder country to take the policy in that direction. Adequate peace policies must be developed to wipe out distrust and suspicion among the masses of both the nations. The efficient communication linkages increased air flight schedules, opening up of traditional rail routes, and relaxing visa restrictions are some forward steps to enhance the transaction of goods between the two nations. Fairs and exhibitions related to trade must be organized, extend the bilateral economic cooperation and investment in several areas of industry. The intra-industry trade must be enhanced between India and Pakistan. Thank you.
My topic is need for Indo-Pak friendly trade relations. India and Pakistan are the two most populous and the largest economies of the South Asia region. India and Pakistan share borders, share history, share the heritage, share the sky, to say it poetically. So there should be a congenial relationship between the two countries. Despite the geographic proximity and the resultant potential for the reduced transportation cost, as well as the trade complementary for the range of goods, Pakistan trade with India is only 1% of its global trade. Economic theory and evidence from around the world would predict that the trade between the two largest economies in the South Asia would be far greater than its current level. Bilateral trade has increased substantially in the recent years to $2.6 billion in 2010-11, but remains far below the estimated potential of $40 billion. While both the countries are aware of the merits of the trade, a variety of political and the infrastructural, physical, legal and the regulatory impediments have virtually paralyzed the bilateral trade relations between the two neighbors. Ever since the political relations between the two countries have led to the frequent disruptions in the trade. Informally accounted, Indian exports to Pakistan US was $2.064 billion and imports from Pakistan $541 million in 2012-13. Pakistan exports to India crossed $500 million for the first time during this period. Illegal trade or the smuggling, which is carried out through the connivance of the corrupt traders and the corrupt custom officials, is encouraged by the restrictions on the import of specific items, high tariff charges, rigid non-tariff barriers, pilferage in the transit trade, and the distortion in the domestic policies, which create an incentive to transport items illegally to the neighboring countries. The normalized economic relations would not only benefit the governments and the businessmen, but the consumers across the borders. The exchequer of both the countries will earn the significant revenue, which is lost due to unofficial trade. Direct trade would also ensure cheaper raw material, lower transportation costs, and the wider markets for the businessmen who would be enjoying the advantages of geographical proximity. The main beneficiary would be the consumer of those products across the borders, as they would benefit for the good quality products at economical prices with a wider variety. In 1996, India and Pakistan both were the signatories of the South Asia Preferential Trade Agreement. India granted Pakistan the MFN status and expected the same in reciprocity from the Pakistan. In an interesting turn of events, reaffirming both the government commitment to enhance the trade ties, India and Pakistan in January 2014 agreed a non-discriminatory market access program in place of the MFN regime. The new term will grant India and the same benefits as envisaged by the MFN. The two countries have been trying to strengthen their bilateral economic and the trade relations despite these disruptions. Studies suggest that the deeper economic relation between the India and Pakistan would benefit not only the two countries but the entire South Asian region, leading potentially to a rise in the economic growth and the trade competitiveness in the region. The greatest benefit of the improved relations between India and Pakistan would occur in the sphere of energy cooperation. India is one of the most rapidly growing energy markets in the world and will be able to absorb new sources of supply as they materialize in this region. But Pakistan's potential role in fulfilling this need is not as a supply, but as a potential transit route for the energy from Iran and Central Asia. The two major projects under consideration for a very long period of time are Iran-Pakistan-India pipeline and Turkmenistan-Afghanistan-Pakistan and India pipeline. The India would benefit from the diversified sources of pipeline gases and lower dependence on more expensive liquid natural gas. Even with the LNG prices dropping, India's sources believe that there would be a significant cost advantage, especially to a pipeline from Iran. Both these projects present a win-win opportunity for India and Pakistan and can go a long way in meeting the energy requirements in one of the world's fastest growing regions. Energy cooperation between India and Pakistan would have a stabilizing effect on the region as a whole. Talking of the social and the cultural ties, the transport between the India and Pakistan has been developed to facilitate the tourism and the social, cultural and the commercial endeavors. Building on these social and cultural ties, there has been an increase in the high-level bilateral exchanges of officials and the diplomats between the two countries in the recent years, which has initiated the peaceful resolution of outstanding issues through cooperative, constructive and the result-oriented program. In terms of, if we talk of the agriculture sector, India and Pakistan both are the agrarian economies, and the two economies in the agriculture sector, which is a major component of the gross domestic product and the largest employment generating sector in either economy. The food and the agribusiness industry has significant impact on the region economy. This industry has one of the highest economic multiplier effects among the various industries, even ahead of telecom and the power. Liberalized Indian-Pakistan trade in the agriculture sector would give further boost to employment generation in both the countries. A sharp increase in the import of cement from the Pakistan in India is also seen in the recent time because of the increase in demand of cement in the India. A trade in the potential sectors like electricity, engineering, transport equipment, pharmaceuticals, textile, petroleum products, information technology, health, entertainment and tourism is also actively working. The policy recommendations for the study can be that the both the countries should join their hands in the collaborative undertakings. For business to develop, improvement of the communication channels is necessary. In particular, use of mobile phones in each other's territories needs to be facilitated. The composite dialogue should be resumed regarding the NDM issue, addressing the non-tariff barriers, improving the trade infrastructure, custom license, harmonization of custom procedures, visas, bilateral investments, and opening up of the bank branches. The trade policies should be made available to businessmen in a more transparent manner. This will also help in addressing the misperception regarding the trading procedures. Modernization of the custom procedures at all the ports is necessary to speed up the trade process. Random security checks should be carried out on the import consignments coming in India. The exhibitions and the fairs should be held at an increased rate in two countries to display each other country's product, so that the new entrants and the new entrepreneurs are encouraged to enter the trade market. Apart from the official channels, other channels of engagement can also contribute to improving relations or at least minimizing the distrust between the two countries. Both the countries, being so passionate about the games like cricket, tennis, can use this support as a good means for continued interaction. In both the countries, media has a strong influence on the public sentiments, and it is thus important to engage with media as a tool to amplify the benefits of the bilateral trade. Thank you.
As far as the need of good trade, I think the need more is to analyze the obstacles, because it has not grown so far during that long a period, and we are still saying that it should grow, it should grow. Yes, it should grow, but for that we have to analyze the hindrances, the obstacles which are there, and how to overcome them. That is, if you have any idea about those.
So suggestions I told, as per the private sector, it should come in the forward step.
There is a need, but what are the hurdles, what are the obstacles?
Problem is, we have to find out the obstacles. Your suggestions are good, wonderful, but that is if the things are normal. It's not growing. For growth, you have to take certain steps. But the problem is somewhere else. It's okay. Keep in mind.
The paper entitled An Analysis of Economic Relations Between India and Pakistan. India and Pakistan are the two most populous and largest economies of the South Asia region. One of the more significant recent economic developments in South Asia was the revival of trade talks between India and Pakistan. Bilateral trade between India and Pakistan is as old as the two countries. A historical review shows that at the time of independence, India and Pakistan were heavily dependent on each other. In fact, India's share in Pakistan's global exports and imports accounted for 23.6% and 50.6% respectively in 1948-1949, but declined to 1.3% and 0.06% respectively in 1975-1976. Pakistan's share in India's global exports and imports was 2.2% and 1.1% respectively in 1951-52, which gradually went down to 0.7% and 0.13% in 2005-06. A question frequently raised is why India and Pakistan trade so little with each other despite the existence of common history, language, culture and long borders. Trade between the two economies could be far greater than its current level of around $2.7 billion. While both countries are aware of the merits of the trade, a variety of political and infrastructure, physical, legal and regulatory impediments have virtually paralyzed bilateral trade relations between the two neighbors. Benefits of India-Pakistan trade. Increased bilateral trade would allow producers to have access to a very large market and would ensure cheaper raw materials and low transportation costs for both the countries. India-Pakistan trade could be a boon to consumers as they would gain in terms of lower prices and a greater variety of products. The government would earn more tax revenue as the trade flowing through legal channels increases. Trade might help improve political relations between the two countries. India-Pakistan trade relations. So table 1 gives the commodity wise export from India to Pakistan at 2-digit level at the scale. Table shows that the export decreases in case of all the commodities. Next are the top 5 import items from Pakistan to India. Then table 3rd shows the export-import data between India and Pakistan. It shows that the export increases from the period 2009-10 to 2013-14. Same is the case of import. Then the non-tariff barriers between India and Pakistan. In order to promote trade between the two countries, both tariff and non-tariff barriers need to be removed or reduced. These are related to visas, requirement sampling or customs inspection, requirement of technical or standard certification, example cement, textiles, leather, labeling and marking rules, specification and investment related issues. These issues are being pursued by both the sides. The granting of most favored nation status by Pakistan to India in January 2013 is reportedly contingent upon the removal of Indian non-tariff barriers placed on Pakistani goods. It is a general opinion in Pakistan that NTBs will continue to be the main impediment to trade normalization even after MFN is granted to India. Recently, both countries have agreed to do away with 4 major NTBs that deal with visas, tedious custom procedures as outlined in the Customs Cooperation Agreement, multiple sanitary and phytosanitary standards under the Mutual Recognition Agreement, and ineffective dispute settlement through the Redressal of Trade Grievances Agreement. Furthermore, India has now allowed foreign direct investment from Pakistan, and it has been agreed that banks from both the countries can open branches in the other by 2013. Then infrastructure barriers and regulations. A major impediment remains the lack of infrastructure in both countries necessary for expanded trade. The infrastructure on border is not well equipped to handle cross-border trade and tends to be a major impediment. Lack of warehousing and storage facilities along the border act as a major barrier. The transport infrastructure and regulations relating to them also act as a major hindrance. On the Indian side, a recently opened goods handling warehouse can potentially process 600 trucks a day compared to the previous level of 200 to 300 trucks per day. This will substantially lower costs and expected to increase trade volume between the two countries. So I can conclude by saying that there is no doubt that increasing trade would significantly raise GDP and household incomes in both the countries, while reducing trade barriers generally has the support of business people on both sides of the border. It is critical to build broader constituencies in each country for greater bilateral trade. So further steps to promote India-Pakistan trade should include: the first one is non-trade barriers should be removed for smoothing the bilateral trade. Then ties between India and Pakistan need to be strengthened through dialogue, increased people-to-people contact, free trade, and learning from each other's experience.